Hello everybody, Backyard Bullion here, and a very warm welcome to you all joining me for this week's Precious Metal Ramble. And it's a topic that I've wanted to talk about for quite a while, but I haven't really had any kind of experience or data or anything really interesting to relate it into the physical markets, and that is precious metal mining. Now, there are many different multitude of ways of owning precious metals, the hallmark of which is owning physical silver and gold, whether it be raw material shot sculptures like this or the modern new releases from various mints in coin form. You can also, of course, own paper silver and gold, where you just vault it or have an ETF. But mining does present another opportunity to invest in the precious metal industry without physically having to hold the actual precious metals, which of course comes with their own issues and various different security concerns and things like that. Now, the information that I'm presenting in today's video is a sponsored video by Altaley Mining, which is a Canadian-based mining company who have got a couple of really interesting operations going on in Mexico at the moment. So a big thank you to them for sponsoring today's video, and we're going to go through some of the information that they provided and just have a look at some really interesting things actually about mining and certainly about Altaley as well. And there's going to be a link down in the description below so you guys can find out anything that you want to about Altaley as well. And of course, all of the sponsorship disclaimers down there as well. So head on over and have a look if you would like. Just a very quick sort of disclaimer and reminder that this video is certainly not financial advice. It's me just presenting some information for you to digest. I found it interesting, and I think that you guys will as well. So it's very apt that we have a Canadian 50 pesos. I'm getting confused because they are a Canadian company, a Mexican 50 pesos gold coin here. And for those that don't know, Mexico is one of the biggest silver and gold producers in the world. It has been for a very, very long time as well. And it's nice to think that this particular coin, it's a restrike, so I don't know exactly what year it was made, but you know, it's nice to think that the gold that we're talking about in this video and showing here perhaps came from a similar area, a similar mine. So what are Altaley doing? Well, they've got two big projects on at the moment by the looks of things. I've got a whole bunch of different slides to show you. I would normally just jump over and do this digitally, but I'm so old school. You guys know me. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I'm very much pen and paper type of chap, and we're going to have a look at what they've got going on. So they've got two operations going on in Mexico at the moment that I have been very privileged to see this information for, so a big thank you to them. The one that is currently ongoing and is producing significant amounts of precious metal is Campo Morado. You'll have to excuse my pronunciations. And they're currently underway of producing another project, the Tahueto project. Again, apologies for my pronunciation. What I find really interesting is if we go a bit further into, we'll have another look at these slides as we go, but this is the biggest thing that I wanted to show you, is about the percentage of the different metals which are coming out. Now, this particular forecast here is, as you can see, Campo Morado. So the first big mine here that we showed on that first picture, that's up and running and going. And as you can see, the primary, this is net revenue as well, remember, not just physical volume, because of course weight wise, you know, you need a lot more zinc than you do the other metals to bring it out. And you can see that silver forming 28% there, and gold only 7%, with copper as well, a bit of lead and others, and then of course the zinc. It seems like it's a little bit of a byproduct of all of the metals. Now, that's actually an incredibly common thing for a lot of precious metal mines. You do get silver often as a little bit of a byproduct of other mine producing copper, for example. And you've only got to look at the potential forecast here for both Campo Morado and the new mine that they're looking to open up, and you see all of a sudden a huge jump, and you see that gold is at 47% of their projected forecasted revenue, with silver only at 12%, copper 24%. So they're making double the amount of money on the copper that they're bringing out the ground than silver. And I find that the most fascinating statistic out of all of this. And it's something that I hear a lot in various different videos and comments, and talking about precious metal mining and how silver comes out the ground at 8-1 to gold. That's not always the case. It depends exactly on the sort of shape up of the material in the mine, and you can see from the particular targets of these particular mines that silver really isn't the focus at all. It's really not, and you've just got to look at the potential for, of course, gold to come out. And, of course, gold is going to be, when looking at revenue forecasting, of course, gold is significantly more. And you can see here, so over the first 4 years of operations, the new mine, which is the one that I'm struggling to pronounce, Tahuehueto, forecast to add 30,000 ounces of annual gold production, plus silver and base metal byproducts. So for me, that reads as gold is the primary focus, silver is the byproduct. And that is a really interesting thing to look at and see. So yeah, from that perspective, silver is always second fiddle to gold. It always has been. And whenever you get silver mines, they're not silver mines. They are other mines that have the byproduct of silver coming out of them. And a lot of the time, I can speak for experience as well from dealing with other precious metal suppliers, that a lot of the time the silver that comes out of the ground is that byproduct, and they don't really pay too much attention to it. So here we are now going to have a look more about Altaley and their different operations that are going on. So of course they've got the two of these mines, and they are up and running, one of them, and the other one should be up and running pretty soon, they say. Here is another really interesting thing. A lot of things we don't think about when it comes to precious metal mining is that it's not a cheap thing to do. A lot of people think if you've got a gold mine, you're sorted because it's just literally pulling gold out the ground. But what a lot of people forget is that the amount of gold that you need to pull out of the ground to get an ounce of gold is an awful lot, and that costs a lot of money in labour, time, infrastructure. And then once it is out the ground, it's in raw form, and it doesn't come out the ground looking like silver. Silver doesn't come out the ground looking like this. This is refined 909 fine silver that has just formed into these wonderful shot sculptures as they were cooled when they were being refined and melted, or whatever it was before it was turned into this. When you get the gold coming out the ground and the silver coming out the ground, and even the zinc, you can see here they've got all of the machinery there, the zinc flotation cells. I'm no metal expert, but I would imagine that's some form of separation system for getting the actual metal out of the ore that comes up. So the amount of work and labour and infrastructure that needs to go into these operations is absolutely mind-blowing and monumental. It does actually stagger belief that these things actually yield any profit. And you do find that a lot of the mines and the R&D and the exploration and the initial work on the mines to find whether it's going to be a profitable one take absolutely decades to bring up to speed. And a lot of the R&D on some of the mines that might be, and the infrastructure on some of the mines that have been going on, they'll have been back from pre-2011 highs. And these mines and refineries and companies are always victim almost to the fluctuations in spot price. It can work both ways, of course, but very interesting. Now, here's another little interesting stat as well. We've got here the annual average gold payable, 25,000 ounces, and the annual average silver payable, 400,000 ounces. Now, a lot of people have been saying of late, certainly with the whole Wall Street silver squeeze and all of that kind of, well, for want of a better phrase, nonsense, that there is a shortage of silver in the world. There really isn't. These mines are able to produce absolutely humongous quantities of precious metals, and you've only got to look at, no sort of disrespect to Altaley, but they are a small business in the mining world. We've got there's a little statistic here. Yeah, so you can see here that Altaley sit around. Well, they're a very small kind of share price relative to their kind of market cap, what they're operating at, and certainly compared with some of the bigger basically gold and silver mining producers, or junior, even what you call junior gold producers. So, for one mine just to produce that much gold and silver in a particular year, I think is fascinating, and certainly does yield some really interesting, kind of thought-provoking, things to have a think about if you are looking to invest in sort of precious metal markets. So there's a few other little slides which just to show through here. Now, one thing that I haven't really got any information from on this perspective is the impact that COVID has had, and how potentially that has, for a mine that was under production, like the second mine that they've got, I guess that's less of an impact because the production, the construction work can be very much seen as a kind of key worker status. It needs to go on. You need to create this stuff. So I can very easily see that production of the facilities, which you can see here, 60% complete, is still ongoing and is happily marching on. You hear, from various different sources around the world that production is being hit by COVID. My opinion, from what I've heard and seen in various different, social media outlets and various different news outlets as well, is that often it's not the production that is hit by COVID, it's more the supply chain. So it's getting, it's like having the amount of lorry drivers to get products from the mine, say, to the refinery, and then from the refinery to the manufacturer of the blanks, and then from the manufacturer of the blanks to the mints, and so on, and then from the mints to the customers. That supply chain is the thing that's most affected by COVID. Of course, international global shipping is affected as well, but often you'll find that the actual physical production of a lot of these things are not affected. They just churn along, they just tick along as they go, and that seems to be a very interesting one. So that's pretty much all the information that we've got in terms of the actual sort of mining side of things. There's a little bit more information here about Altaley as well. As I said, this was a sponsored video, so we're here to kind of give a little bit of exposure to Altaley as a company, and if you guys are interested, as I said, there's a link down in the description below to their website, and you can find out all of this information, and these kind of corporate sort of slides and showcasings are, I think, available on their website as well, so definitely worth going and having a look at. One thing that I was asked to mention is that the backers of this particular company are very much set. There we go. Here's the institutional holding side of things. The big one here is that there is a gentleman called David Rhodes who is very keenly linked to Altaley, and he is one of the biggest people in bringing profitable mines to the fore, and that's, I think, a really interesting part, and there's a link down in the description below to his profile as well. So I hope you guys have enjoyed that information and digested it. I did find it really quite interesting to see. I think the most interesting, I'm going to go back to this slide here, is about the gold sort of production being the most, of course, revenue heavy part of this, and the fact that we do get all of these other metals coming out. Now, I always like to question, and I always like to pose the sort of thoughts for us as investors about whether or not investing in mining companies is potentially better or equal to investing in the physical markets of precious metals. Now, it's going to depend on everybody's individual circumstances, of course. I'm not here to tell you to go and invest in Altaley. They are sponsoring this video, yes, but it's not, go click on this link and go invest in them now, and here's an affiliate bonus code. That's not how I work. What I have gleaned from this is that these mining operations are very, very big and heavy on production. They have, of course, millions of dollars worth of infrastructure to build to get a mine to a point where it starts to even generate revenue. And for that to happen, there has got to be some kind of foundation of potential revenue to come in the future. And I do think that if we're in a position where we're expecting precious metals to continue to be in demand through new solar technology, new uses within industry, and just the general demand from investors and physical bullion products as well, that mines like these two that we're seeing here, where they're focusing on the precious metal more so than the other residual non-precious metals, can only be a good thing. So whether it's right to physically invest in the mining company itself is going to be down to each individual person's decision making. But from me as a precious metal, when you invest in physical silver or physical gold, you are essentially investing in the precious metal markets. Yes, you've got this physical piece of gold that you can hold, and it's to protect your wealth and preserve that wealth over time. But you're also fueling the bottom line of a lot of these mines around the world. So it is an interesting connection. It is an interesting link. And I do hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. It has been a little bit something different in terms of the sponsored content, but I did think it was interesting to showcase for all of you silver bugs out there, and a little bit different to get those brain juices flowing. So if you have enjoyed the video, please let me know by hitting that thumbs up button. It also helps with comments as well. Likes and comments are the two big things that can help all people grow on YouTube. And if you have not subscribed, like 70% of people who watch this video, then make sure that you hit that subscribe button if you want to find out more information or interesting videos in the future. Otherwise, that is it from me. A big thank you to you all for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. As always, please make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.